everybody, you're watching Making It Look Great number 5. This is Moltanen, and in this tutorial I'm gonna show you how to work with the presets that you can find in the extras folder on this DVD. So let's just jump right in. The first preset I'm going to show you is the Quickie background, and as the name suggests, it's a preset to do a quick background. I usually use it as a startup for my projects when I don't actually know what I'm looking for. So let's just go ahead and create a new solid, put it below our footage. This is a keyed out footage, as you can see, and apply Quickie background. You've seen me use this in the original Screenify tutorial, but it wasn't a preset nicely wrapped like this one. You'll notice that those parameters are expression driven, and this is to make sure that all the parameters like start of the ramp, end of the ramp, and the radius sit actually in the correct position. So you don't have to adjust anything. The only thing you can adjust is the color of your background. And as you can see, it looks pretty nicely. And like I said in the tutorial, it usually gets me started. And it's just a nice way to start your work. Looks nice, doesn't it? Okay, so let's just keep this as it is. And let's take this footage and put it in our final comp. Let's call it final. And here I'm going to show you the Screenify custom effect. Screenify, and I'm going to drag Screenify producer. This is something that I just have on my system. You'll be interested in Screenify. Just you have it on the DVD, you'll know what to do. I'm just dragging it onto the footage. As you can see, all the effects are loaded, and now we've got our footage screenified. Let's just twirl it down. Impressive, isn't it? Okay, here are the basic settings. Cell size, maybe let's make it 8. You'll see that everything changes very nicely. And it all depends on the footage that you're using, so just make sure to test out different settings. Oh, I think I like this one. Pixelizer basically makes your footage look more pixelated. Again, you have to match it up with the cell size so it looks a little bit better. It's basically a warp around the mosaic filter, so you know what to expect. Let's make it 0. I didn't like that look. Make it back to 4. Okay. Cell settings. Here we can set the lightness of the cells. Maybe let's make it 50. Let's see what's going on. Correct. And the saturation. And we've got the cell shading option, which turns on this little pattern that you can see on the footage, on the whole screen. Also, we've got the glow settings. We can apply the glow. Those are basically copied from the glow effect. You've got threshold, radius, intensity. So that's everything that you need to use in the glow. And also you've got intensity puncher, which basically makes the whole effect a little bit more punchier. Let's make it back to 0. Let's see what's going on. And of course we've got the overall strength, so basically blending with the original footage. If we make it 0, basically you don't see the effect at all. So that's the basic setup. You don't really want to touch any of those effects in here, but there are few exceptions. For example, you may want to adjust the scan line. Just twirl it down and maybe change the border to 1. Looks a little bit different, right? And also you might want to change the footage here and change the blending mode. Sometimes hard light won't work for you, maybe overlay will, or some other blending mode, maybe add. No, this will be probably turbo. Yeah, it doesn't work this time. But this is what you might want to try out on your own. It all depends on the footage. In this case, and in most cases, hard light works. And one more thing, there's this effect that is disabled by default, and it's called enable to keep alpha. And let me just show you how this works. If I'm going to scale down the footage just a little bit and make sure that the glow is on, let's just do it like that, really overdo it. You'll see that you've got bleeds outside of this area, and maybe that's something that you want, but maybe not. So if you want to get rid of those, you just need to click here and enable to keep alpha channel, and you've got everything wrapped around very nicely. And that's it. So now let's just go ahead and get rid of all these. And I'm going to show you another nice preset that you can also find on this DVD, and it's called Fancy Reflections. Pretty catchy name, huh? Fancy Reflections. Here we go. We just apply it on the footage, and as you can see, we've got a nice instant reflection on the ground. It's transparent and everything, very nice. And this is how it works. Also, you'll notice that some parameters are expressed with expressions, but this one in particular, offset, is expressed only to make sure that the offset filter always sits in the center of your footage. But you can actually change the offset if you want. In some reasons you might want to change it just a little bit, just like we did in the original Screenify tutorial. We had this additional line that we didn't like, and we had to offset the reflection by 2 or 3 pixels, right? So this is why you want to do it. Transition. Here you may want to actually adjust the transparency, and this is basically a wrap around the linear wipe effect. This is a linear wipe effect, in fact, as you can see. And also expander, you probably don't want to touch that, but there is a replace me filter here, which is just a slider that does nothing. But this is a place when you can put whatever effects you like to alter the look of your reflection. For example, we can try blur. Let's just go ahead and choose fast blur, and we can just put it in here and get rid of this replace me. And you can put whatever effects you like. It doesn't have to be one effect. You can put many effects here. So I'm going to change the blur to 30, for example, and instantly you see what's happening, right? So this is the Fancy Reflection preset. We already talked about the Screenify custom effect and the quickie background. So what's left? Yes, global transition. Okay, let's go ahead and open up our SpyCam pre-comp. And those are just layers imported from Photoshop. Nothing complicated or fancy about it. Remember, this is from the SpyCam tutorial. So there is a preset called Global Transition, which is exactly a preset made from what we did in the original tutorial. So let me just show you how to use it very quickly. I'm gonna trim all the layers here and maybe do some random lengths of the layer, like so. Okay, like that. Now we're gonna sequence the layers. Keyframe Assistant sequence layers. Do not overlap. Okay, that's fine. And we're gonna put a new adjustment layer on top of it all and apply the Global Transition preset. And as you can see, you've got the layer range selector and master time slider. What you want to change is the layer range selector, obviously. So here we gotta set it to 2, because that's the first layer we're interested in. And the last one is 12. And that's it. And this value already will start changing as we move, correct? And this represents the actual time of our composition. 1.6, and now it's gonna go back to 0 and start counting again. Okay, so again, how we can use this? We can, for example, apply mosaic like we did in the original tutorial. Create some keyframes. Keyframes, move forward, maybe 20 frames, and make it, I don't know, 300 by 300, whatever, right? It doesn't really matter at this point. And just twirl it down, do some easy ease keyframes on this. And the only thing we need to do to make this transition or those keyframes repeat across all the layers, we just have to alt click it, type in value at time, and point to this slider. And that's it. We can copy this and paste it in here. And that's all we have to do. Check this out. Rendering goes very nicely, and now the keyframes will repeat when the new layer jumps in. It's hard to see because the differences between the layers are pretty small in this case. So yeah, maybe I'll just scrub the timeline. As you can see, it all works. So okay, the only preset left to talk about is the marker subtitles. So let's just go ahead. We can get rid of all those things in here. Let's create a new composition. 600 by 300, whatever, doesn't really matter. Move to full res, create a new text layer. Like that. And simply apply marker subtitles on this layer. And that's really it. The only thing you need to do is to make sure the layer is selected, press Alt and the asterisk sign on the numpad and type your subtitles in here. And that's it. You can set up the timeout if you like. 10 seconds. Very nice. Then it disappears. Everything's clear. So, I hope you will enjoy this preset. I hope you've enjoyed the DVD as well. See you next time.